Thanks a lot, Stephanie. There was a big headline last week about cyber criminals planning an attack on the world's banks. More and more people are doing at least some of their banking online these days, and security experts say it is still safe. But Fox 19 tech expert Dave Hatter's here to talk about some of the steps we all should be taking to protect our information. Now, the first thing our producer saw when we started talking about this was some kits you can buy to protect yourself from online banking. Do you need to buy a kit?
No, you don't need to buy a kit.
Okay.
No.
Is it safe to online bank? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, because ultimately the banks have a huge vested interest in making their systems as secure as possible. And you got to remember, whether you online bank or not, they have computers, all your money, everything is in the computer now.
So our information's already in there.
It's already in there. It's a matter of whether you access it online or not. And they got to keep that secure, because if they have a breach, there's a good likelihood you're going to want to go somewhere else. So, you know, they're working very hard, round the clock. They have some of the most banks, especially the larger banks, have some of the most sophisticated security systems out there. So, you know, generally speaking, it's safe. Really, the onus is on you from how you access the bank.
Okay, so like don't do it at Panera with the Wi-Fi.
Well, exactly, because if you go to a place like Panera where they have open Wi-Fi, there could be someone sitting right across from you who can see the information you're sending back and forth. You got to make sure you have security on your browser, the HTTPS, SSL. You know, if you look in the browser and it doesn't say HTTPS in the beginning, that's not a secure connection. Your data is not being encrypted. You should not access your bank from there. You got to have a good password, right? You know, don't use your name or anything that's easily guessable. At least 8 characters with symbols and numbers. You should change it frequently. I know these things are a pain and people don't want to hear this. But, you know, when you're dealing with your bank account, that's the place where it's the most important. So you don't want your bank account information stolen. You don't want your money stolen. You don't want your identity stolen. So it's really important.
Now, when we were talking about this, you also found a good story in Forbes magazine about a little-known spy agency that knows everything about us, not just our bank accounts, but our flight plans and our cell numbers. And tell me a little bit more about that, Dave.
Yeah, the National Counterterrorism Center, which I'd never heard of before. I just stumbled into this article doing some research for this. It's kind of interesting, and lots of organizations like the ACLU and the EFF, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, have been kind of watching this. They've recently been basically granted power to aggregate data from every system out.
This is our government gathering information about us.
Exactly. You know, I'm one of those people, Shelia, that believes just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you. You know, and you hear people say, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, you don't have anything to worry about. And, you know, while I wouldn't say we're exactly at Minority Report, you know, these are people gathering information about American citizens without their knowledge. You know, they can tap into casino records, airline records. Basically, the way I read this thing, and what the ACLU has said, is they can pretty much tap into any database they want, collect information about you, try to put it together, look for patterns, look for, quote, criminal activity.
Is there anything we should do about it or can do about it?
Well, I mean, other than pay attention, I think a lot of people don't understand that, you know, as systems get increasingly connected and more things become electronic and more people, governments, private businesses are collecting information about you, it creates information about you that you may not necessarily want out there. Not because you're not doing anything wrong, but I mean, it's your life. There is that Fourth Amendment thing out there, you know. I think just be aware that this is going on. Consider what the implications are, you know, write your congressmen, your legislators, et cetera, and say, hey, you think this is a bad idea, and look for more of this kind of thing. Because I don't think until people start to really make an outcry about it, the incidence of it's going to go down. It's only going to go up because most people don't even know what's happening.
All right, Dave, thanks very much. Merry Christmas to you and your family. I have a link to Dave's website at fox19.com.